What up, everybody? My name is Ignacio. Welcome back to another in-depth review. And today we're going to be talking about a game that I recently started playing. One of those games that I picked up, never played it for a while, and I recently picked up again. And I finally come to the realization how much I really like this game. And that is the Count Lucanor for PlayStation 4. So this was a game that I bought I want to say 4 months ago by the time this video is made. And the reason what made me buy this game was because of the art style alone, this particular art. I first heard about this game on the PlayStation Vita. Back when I first bought that Vita, so if you remember that very first Vita video I made about my impressions of it, somewhere around that period was the same time I saw this game on the PlayStation Store. They kind of advertised the game, I guess you can say. But from when I saw that photo alone, I always thought the art style for that game looked very interesting, and it always kind of intrigued me. I did a bit of research on the game, but the thing is that when I first saw the gameplay, just a little bit of it, and what I saw, it didn't grab my attention at first, but the game always pulled me in for some reason. I don't know why. So when the time was right, I want to say took a while for me to finally get Count Lucanor, this game. Like I said, it took me 4 months ago, and I played it for about a good hour or two or something like that, and I was really actually digging the game. I really was. But then there came to a point where I actually got pretty frustrated with the game, and I just quit the game from there, and I haven't picked it up since until just about 2 days ago now. And I took the time and actually beat the entire game 100%, got the platinum trophy for Count Lucanor. And I gotta say, it's quite an adventure, and the game is still in the back of my mind. It's one of those games that it gives you kind of a good feeling and a good sensation from the game. So the reason why I came back to playing it was actually because of my friend. His name is Justin. I kind of just randomly told him about this game called Count Lucanor, thinking that he might like it. So he did some research on the game, and he thought the game looked pretty interesting, and I said I had the game, and what do you know, he actually sat with me throughout the entire adventure of Count Lucanor. He literally watched me play the game entirely, and that was one of the reasons what motivated me to play the game again, just so I can see and he can see. You see, the thing about Count Lucanor, it's a heavily puzzled game. Well, let me explain this. It's a sort of a horror / fantasy adventure game / puzzles. I say it's kind of horror because of course it has horror themes to it, so I like to consider it a horror game. I mean, I guess it technically is. I mean, they don't say online, but I do think it's considered a horror game, at least to me. But anyways, my friend watched me play this game throughout the entire way, and the reason why is because the puzzles. You see, if you know me very well on this channel, you know my thoughts on puzzles on video games, and if you don't know, I like them. But the problem is that they're pretty, can be challenging at times. They can be very annoying. That's one of the things I found pretty annoying about Count Lucanor, is that some puzzles are pretty confusing, which is one of the reasons why I rage quit in the game, is because I was confused, I died, and we'll get more into the whole, how do you save in the game in a bit, why that's annoying. But so he sat me through, and we played the game, and he helped me with puzzles, and that was one of the things that really enhanced the experience for me personally, was just that my friend was watching me playing the game, helping me out with puzzles, how in-depthly we were about the game, the story and stuff like that. And the story is pretty cool. It's about a boy named Hans, and Hans is this 10-year-old boy who grew up very poor and with his mother. His father goes out to a war, at least that's what the game tells us, and we never see him, and at least in the beginning. And so, yeah, and the thing about it is that it was his 10th birthday, Hans, and he wanted to have a toy, and he wanted to have a cake and stuff like that, party for him or something. But of course the mother can't afford it because, like I said, they're very poor. So because of that, Hans gets pissed off, and he literally just leaves. And what's funny is that he tells his mother this, and the mom actually has a pretty interesting reaction, is that he's like, okay, you can go, but of course the mother doesn't want him to leave. That's the the truth about it is that she doesn't want him to leave, but of course, Hans, being the naive 10-year-old boy he thinks he knows it all and everything. So he just leaves. Of course, he got some stuff to carry on the way, like he got some gold and some food. But what's interesting about the game is that what it really says, in fact, it's on the back of this cover, it says that your actions change the course of the story, and that is a perfect example of what Count Lucanor is. It's a adventure game, but a lot of the things that you do can affect the story. There are a total of 5 endings you can get in the game. I got all of them, by the way. And a lot of the things you do, like I said, it's a puzzle game. You have to figure out like what goes where and like stuff like that, puzzles. But back to the story. The thing about it is that when Hans leaves his house, he kind of like he walks through the forest and he meets like all these people, and you can choose to help them or not. And depending on whether you help them or not really actually affects the story outcome. So it might be either good or bad to help somebody. And the reason why this plays a role is because you eventually head to a castle. And he meets this character, goes by the name Kobold. That's how they say it in the beginning of the game. It's spelled like Kobold, I believe. And you have to guess his name. If you guess his name, he'll take you to the person who lives in the castle, which is, I believe his name is the Count. Yeah, that's where the name came from, the Count. And if you guess, the Kobold's real name, he'll take you to the master, and you get to be rich, I guess you could say. And that's what the whole story is about. It's about Hans trying to get rich and famous or whatever. But to do that, like I said, you have to guess his name. And that's where the game runs the whole way, is that you have to guess. You have to go in each room of the castle, and you have to get like one piece of the letter of the person's name. But what I find it very interesting is that even though it's a pretty linear game, it's not a big area. There's only like 2 floors, and the second floor is very short when it comes to like rooms and stuff. But what I find it interesting is that there's also, when you find letters, there's also can be fake ones, and that's what makes it even more confusing of the game. It's just like, okay, how do I figure out this person's name? And the best part is that you can go like a couple of ways in that story, and that's what I like about it. For example, kind of just to get a quick view out there. For example, one of the choices in the game you can do is you can go to every single room in the game, get all the letters, and guess the person's Kobold's name right there with all the pieces you have with his name. Or there is another method, which I'm not going to try to spoil, but there is another method doing it. And that's what I kind of like about Count Lucanor, is that, like I said, your choices kind of affect the story, and you really have to use your noggin to do it. And I believe when I first played Count Lucanor, I didn't give it that chance, and I didn't really think much of it. I kind of just randomly played the game a bit. That's what made it fun with my friend Justin, who was with me. He was paying attention. He was trying to understand the story. And because of that, we both tried to solve puzzles. Of course, he was the brains behind for me beating this game, honestly. But I can't help but say I didn't contribute anything either. But yes, pretty much that's practically it. Of course, there's characters, or there's more than one person in the entire game. Another interesting character I think I found besides Hans was a girl named Julia. I believe that's how you'd say it, her name. She's like this really scaredy cat woman, and she gives you like tips throughout the game. She's someone who can help you on your journey of trying to get all the puzzles. But what was funny is that she says that she's trying to look for the treasure as well. And I always find her a mysterious character because they never really explain her backstory. I mean, they do explain it if you do all her quests. Like I said, I don't want to get into too much of the details. There's also like a grandma and her pig, and there's a weird story behind that too as well. And also, I want to keep in mind too is that this game also has a pretty dark theme. Definitely not as dark, I would say, like the game Too Dark, the PS4 version. I talked about that game before. One of the coolest horror games out there. And I gotta say, I consider Count Lucanor of its own type of horror game. It's a pretty unique horror game, in my opinion. To the art style, to the cutscenes, and stuff like that is what I really would say. But overall, I gotta say, I think Count Lucanor is a pretty badass game. After 100% in the game myself, I can easily say it's a really memorable game to me. But I've been okay. So far, I praised this game, right? Well, there is one huge flaw I have with Count Lucanor, and it is the fucking saves in the game. I'm going to try my best to explain this, but as much as I love this game, it's kind of broken to a certain degree. And I don't know, the game is released on PS4, Vita, and the Switch. And I don't know if there's any problems on the Switch, but on the Vita and PS4, it is the worst. So here's what I'm saying. You know how you save in a video game? Of course, you can save in Count Lucanor, but the problem is, for some reason, when the way how the autosave works is that when you save in the game, it takes a new slot on your save profile. You know how like some games have one save profile and you stick with that the entire game? Count Lucanor doesn't have that. So when you save, it takes like one slot at a time. And basically what I'm saying is that when you have over 15 slots of saves in Count Lucanor, the game for some reasons glitches or crashes or something like that. And because of that, it erases your files. The reason why I'm saying this is because it happened to me. That's right. All my hard work at one point, just about I think 2 days ago, all my hard work that me and my friend Justin worked on playing got deleted. And I was so pissed, and I tried backing up the files in the game. For some reason, that wouldn't work. I tried backing it up. And for some reason, and the thing is that this is a occurring problem. When you look on Google about Count Lucanor's save issues, it's a big issue of the game, by far. And what's even worse is that apparently it's even worse on the PlayStation Vita version. Apparently you have a lot less saves to deal with, and the thing about me is that if you really want to play this game, buy the PS4 version. I would do some research on the Switch if they did fix it by then, but it's really dumb the fact that this is even a problem to begin with. Imagine that a save is the issue of the game, and it is a terrible mechanic. And yes, I played the game like 3 times, I believe, just to finally 100% the game and get all the trophies for it. It's a BS mechanic. I cannot believe they did that. They released it in that state of the game. And that's not even including some of the problems with the game in-game itself. It's so hard to explain this, but another small issue I had with the game is that I believe when a cutscene happens, not a cutscene, but a dialogue happens, after when the dialogue immediately ends, when you try to move your character immediately, for some reason your character gets stuck in a wall or something. So you have to stop your controller, your analog stick, for this. If you try to move, but if you have to stop for a moment and then you can start moving again. And I swear to God, that's how I feel when I play this game. I have to be be patient or something with the controls. And another thing too is that there's lag in the game. And apparently lag can also be another issue of the game that can actually freaking crash your game, and it stutters. And I will admit, I wouldn't say they're few and far in between, but it does happen on occasions, and it will happen. It's if it's too much for the game to handle. And the reason why I find it sad is that this game is not big at all. This is a pixel game. The game looks like it's from the 90s, and it's having a hard time. And I'm playing on my PS4 Pro that I recently got, by the way. But overall, when you look at besides those issues of the save games and the game's small issues, this is a really fun game, and I definitely enjoyed my time with it. And if somebody was to ask me who was my favorite character in Count Lucanor, I'm sorry if I'm spurring out words right now. I know this is not a very scripted video, but I think my favorite character is by far the mother. For some reason, I just really like her. I don't know why. I can't really explain, but I really like her a lot. But besides that, though, I gotta say is that if you look past the issues of the save, which it is a huge issue, Count Lucanor is a pretty cool game. And if you have never played the game, and if you are interested in horror games, this is a game I highly recommend checking out at the very least. It's a pretty cool game. I recommend the PS4 version. Again, the saves is a big issue. Do it by your own risk if you want to play on the Vita. But do keep in mind is that if you do get this game, the saves is the biggest issue. So that being said, I'm going to give this game an 8 out of 10. Pretty cool game. I highly recommend it.